Life can turn on a dime. 1 minute everything's normal. Happy family, good job, the whole deal. Then, bam, your perfect world explodes, leaving you lost and confused. That's exactly what happened to Julie Pacey. She was a regular mom with a great life, until one day everything went terribly wrong.
The murder of Julie Pacey, and detectives can't work out who the man is.
Murder of Julie Pacey, the 38-year-old mother of two, was killed at her home in Grantham in 1994.
She got on with everybody. She was so kind and caring and considerate. She lived for the family.
21 years since Julie was murdered. We've never identified a motive.
The family has been waiting 21 years for justice to be served.
Hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. It helps us keep bringing the chills. Now, grab a drink, snuggle up, and get ready to crack open another crazy case with your favorite crew. Grantham, a quiet town steeped in history with pretty streets and friendly faces. A place that lulls you into a sense of security. But beneath that calm surface, something terrible was about to happen. In September 1994, this peaceful town was rocked by a tragedy that shattered its serenity. It all unfolded in Manthorpe, a quiet neighborhood where families felt safe. More specifically, on Longcliffe Road, a seemingly ordinary street that would become the center of an awful crime, forever remembered in Grantham's history. As the investigation began, a wave of fear washed over the town. The streets where kids played and neighbors chatted suddenly felt unsafe. The fear of an unknown attacker lurked in the shadows, making everyone uneasy. Julie Pacey wasn't your typical person caught up in a scary story. She was a mom, 2 wonderful kids to look after, that kind of thing. She even worked part-time at a local preschool, St. Peter's Day Nursery, helping young minds grow. Everyone loved her there. She was super caring. Julie had a close family too. Her husband Andrew, they'd been together since they were practically kids, sweethearts since way back. They'd been married 18 years, a real love story. Together they raised their 2 kids, Helen and Matthew, in a house filled with love and happiness. They had no idea their perfect life was about to explode. On September 26, 1994, Julie started her day like any other, not a clue what darkness was waiting for her just around the corner. Julie Pacey was a shining light in Grantham. At 38, she was full of life and loved her family more than anything. Born and raised there by John and Mary Smith on May 12, 1956, Julie's kindness warmed everyone around her. Even as a kid, Julie was special. When she was just 8, her path crossed with Andrew Pacey's. What started as a cute friendship between kids turned into a love story for the ages. They got married 18 years before that awful day, a true example of love that lasts. Julie and Andrew built a happy life together. Their first child, Helen, came along in 1980, and then Matthew 5 years later. Being a mom was Julie's everything. She juggled her part-time job at the local preschool, St. Peter's Day Nursery, with all the craziness of raising a family. People called Julie a bubbly blonde, because of her gorgeous smile and infectious energy. Everyone loved her, her neighbors, friends, everyone. They admired how much she cared for her family, how kind she was, and how much she loved life itself. But Julie had no idea the perfect world she built was about to crumble. On that September day, as she went about her usual routine, things were about to change forever. Her life was unraveling, leading to a tragedy that would scar everyone who loved her. Things started getting weird around Julie Pacey just before her death. It was like a creepy countdown to something awful. The police pieced together a timeline of strange events leading up to September 26, 1994, the day Julie died. 3 days earlier, on a Friday, a little girl who knew Julie well saw something strange. She was walking to Julie's house when she saw a man in blue overalls going onto the property. He had a round face, rosy cheeks, and rough hands, like a construction worker. The girl ran inside to tell Julie, who was just as confused. The man had shown up out of the blue asking for directions to another street. It seemed normal, but something felt off. The police even made a drawing of the man based on the girl's description, hoping it might help later. Then came even more bizarre things. People saw Julie in a BMW, which wasn't her car. The Paceys had an Audi. And on the day Julie died, someone saw a mysterious BMW pull into their driveway right after Julie got home in her own car. These strange happenings made everyone nervous in the neighborhood. No one knew it then, but these little events were just the beginning of something terrible that would change Julie's life and the lives of everyone around her forever. The investigation into Julie Pacey's death was like peeling back the layers of a nightmare. It all started on a normal Monday, September 26, 1994. Julie said goodbye to her husband Andrew as he headed to work, then went to her job at the nursery like any other day. But things took a strange turn around 2:45 p.m. Julie pulled her Audi into the driveway of their house on Longcliffe Road, earlier than usual. Then, half an hour later, something chilling happened. People saw a man in those same blue overalls walk right out in front of Julie's car as she was leaving for a quick errand. It was almost like he wanted to get hit. The man didn't just bump into her by accident. It seemed planned. Witnesses said he watched Julie drive away, then turned and hurried back towards the Pacey house. What did he want? At around 4:15 p.m., Julie's world came crashing down for her daughter, Helen. Helen came home from school and found her mom dead in the upstairs bathroom. Julie had been strangled, her life stolen away in a horrific attack. The police swarmed the house, searching for clues. One thing stuck out. Julie's fancy French watch, a gift from a recent family vacation, was missing. It was like a single piece of a puzzle, a clue that might lead them to the person who did this terrible thing. The hunt for Julie's killer had just begun. Julie's murder sent shockwaves through Grantham. The once peaceful town was gripped by fear. The police wasted no time launching a full investigation, and what they found was a twisted mess of clues that just didn't seem to fit together. The overalls man became suspect number one. People from all over remembered seeing this creepy dude in his blue overalls hanging around the Pacey house before and after Julie died. He acted weird too, asking for directions he never seemed to need, kicking at the grass like he was looking for something, acting jumpy in a local store. It was clear this guy was up to no good. Then came another head-scratcher. People said they saw Julie in a BMW. But the Paceys only had an Audi. And get this, multiple people who knew Julie well swore they saw her driving that BMW. To top it all off, someone saw a BMW speeding away from the house right around the time Julie died. The crime scene itself was another mystery. There were no signs of a break-in or a struggle. Julie's nails were even perfectly painted, which seemed strange considering she must have fought back somehow. The police started to think maybe Julie knew her attacker. Maybe she let them right in, leaving her keys in the door, a horrifying thought in a quiet neighborhood like this. Desperate for any lead, the police stopped over 500 people walking down Longcliffe Road, hoping someone might have seen something. They plastered posters everywhere with the overalls man's face on them, begging anyone with information to come forward. This peaceful town was living a nightmare, and they were determined to wake up from it. Even years later, Julie Pacey's case remained a chilling, unsolved mystery. It was a constant reminder that evil can creep into even the most peaceful places. But the police never gave up hope of finding Julie's killer. Then, in 2001, something spooky happened. They noticed a link between Julie's case and another unsolved murder. A young woman named Sharon Harper, full of life, had been brutally killed just a few months before Julie. They found her body near her house in Grantham. The way both women were killed looked eerily similar. This spooked the police enough to launch a huge investigation called Operation Enigma. It stretched across the whole country, looking for connections between unsolved murders of women in the 1990s. They thought maybe there was a single killer on the loose, and Julie and Sharon's cases were just the tip of the iceberg. But even with this new investigation and the possibility of a serial killer, they still couldn't catch a break. They never got the one solid clue they needed to bring closure to Julie's family and the scared town of Grantham. The mystery of who killed Julie Pacey lived on. In 2015, a ray of hope finally pierced through the darkness of Julie Pacey's case. Scientists did something amazing. They were able to get a complete DNA profile of Julie's killer from evidence left at the crime scene. This was a huge breakthrough, like finding a missing puzzle piece. Maybe they could finally catch the person who did this. But here's the catch: the DNA didn't match anyone in the national database. So the police went public, pleading with anyone who might recognize the DNA to come forward. They needed a name to go with that genetic code. Things got a little weird next. Remember how they made a reenactment of the crime for a TV show years ago? Well, the actor who played the killer actually got harassed by people who thought he did it for real. The poor guy, Steve Watson, was 53 years old and had to give his DNA to the police to clear his name. It just goes to show how much people wanted this case solved. Even with a few wrong turns and all this time that had passed, the police wouldn't give up on finding the truth about Julie. They kept digging through evidence and talking to witnesses, hoping that one day, all the pieces would fall into place and they'd finally understand what happened to Julie Pacey. Even though Julie Pacey's case remains a mystery, it shows how determined people can be to find the truth. Nearly 30 years later, the people of Grantham and everyone who knew Julie haven't forgotten. There are so many unanswered questions, and it feels like nobody has been held accountable. It's a constant reminder that this case isn't over. But there's also a positive side. The police haven't given up, and Julie's loved ones are incredibly strong. They're determined to get closure, and their fight for the truth is inspiring. Maybe with new technology and fancy science, they'll finally get some answers. Remember that DNA profile they found at the crime scene? It doesn't match anyone yet, but it's a clue. One day, they might be able to use it to identify Julie's killer. This whole case shows the power of community. Julie's family's strength, the police's dedication, and the town that refuses to forget. All these things are keeping this case alive. Even though the story ends here, it's important to remember how precious life is. We should cherish every moment and keep fighting for what's right, no matter how dark things seem. In the end, truth and justice will always win. That's what makes us human. We never give up, not even in the face of horrible tragedies. Alright guys, before you dash off into the night, don't forget to hit that like button. It lets us know you're digging the content, and that keeps the creepy cases coming your way. While you're at it, smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss our next dive into the mysterious unknown. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you on the flip side for another mind-blowing case. Until then, stay curious.